Okay, it's 7:02. We have 9 board members here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We have 9 board members, so we have a quorum.
Right.
Oh, and somebody else is trying to get in, but we can start.
Hey,
So we'll call the meeting to order. Peter, are you ready? Are you in? Peter, you're in, right?
Can you hear me, buddy?
Yes. All set? Okay, thank you. Thank you, Peter.
Right.
So the first item is review and revise agenda as may be advisable. Does anybody have any revisions or changes to the agenda?
Why?
Hearing none. We have the minutes of the April 27th, 2022 meeting. Could somebody make a motion to approve them?
So moved.
Okay, who was that, please?
That was me, Al.
Al, thank you, Al. Can I have a second?
Selena, second.
Thank you, Selena. So, Peter, we have a motion by Al and a second by Selena to approve the minutes as submitted. Is there any discussion from anybody? Hearing none. All those in favor, please signify so by saying aye.
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 It appears as though it's a unanimous decision in the affirmative. It is a unanimous decision, so the minutes have been approved as submitted. So, Bill, can you make this so this is small so I can see everybody? Because I can't see if people are raising their hands. Oh, the view. Okay, cool. So I can't see everybody on the screen. There's 2 pages of y'all, so just make sure that if you have something that you unmute yourself. So under old business, we had waiting study updates, and I don't see Mark.
He wasn't in the other room yet.
Here. So I know that Governor Scott signed the bill, which there was an alert because they thought he may just, if the governor doesn't sign a bill in a certain period of time, Al Clausen was bounced out, then it just becomes law. And he actually signed it with a letter with some concerns. Emily, do you want to, or Doug, is there somebody that wants to speak to that a little bit?
It should be, I haven't actually have been so busy. I have not read the letter. I knew he signed it, but I haven't read the letter. Doug, I don't know if you have something to say.
I think that just people should read it and make their own impression of it. I was a little disappointed in his letter simply because it didn't address, the letter should have been about the, I think, repairing the damages that were done, but it was more sort of shifting in acknowledging equity was established through the weights, but then immediately shifts to cost containment, as if, these districts that have been receiving more funds are the ones that are going to be hurt. So it didn't have a right tone for me.
The letter, if anybody doesn't have it, I think it got sent out to everybody.
It's linked in the agenda.
It's linked in the agenda, I'm sorry. But it does, he talks about cost containment and some changes and, going back to almost a 2-step or making sure in the warning people know how much the budget went up and what percentage that increase is. So it is a very interesting read. So I would recommend everybody read it. And I do believe, and I thought Mark was coming tonight, but I know that group, the coalition there, is going to stay together to kind of work with this for another couple of years, because the weights do need to be adjusted occasionally. They can't be for 20 years because obviously things change a little bit. So if any questions, comments, anybody else on the weighting study? Okay, seeing nothing. Collaboration with Windham County's Supervisor unions update. So we had a discussion about that at the last meeting. We asked our superintendent to send a letter to the other superintendents to see if we could do a meeting with the board chairs of the SUs and the superintendents to see what we could maybe do to work together. So Bill, do you want to?
Yeah, so I reached out to Windham Northeast Superintendent, Windham Southeast Superintendent, and the Windham Southwest Superintendent. The Windham Southwest Superintendent will be gone most of the summer, so she encouraged us to go ahead and have the initial meeting with the other three supervisory unions. Both the superintendent from Windham Northeast is the permanent superintendent, and they were the ones that had the idea. So he is reaching out to his board chair and asking him to complete the doodle poll that I created. And the Windham Southeast superintendent is interim, and he is also committed to sharing that with his board chair and asking her to complete that. It is undecided right now who the superintendent in Windham Southeast is after June 30th. No public announcement has been made. No inside information has been shared with me. But we are looking to have an initial meeting to just introduce everybody to each other and to talk about having possibly some quarterly meetings where we can have the board chair and the superintendents, all 8 people, meet on a regular basis to just kind of share concerns, share challenges, share successes, just to kind of open that dialogue. So we're going to continue to do that. We're going to shoot for a meeting in July, and then we're going to shoot for a meeting probably in September that will begin our quarterly meetings.
So is there any questions for Bill on the SU collaboration for Windham County? Okay, seeing none. Our next item is Justice, Diversity, Equity, Inclusion Update, Board Statement. So if you remember at the last meeting, we had Wayne and Scotty come in to talk about the J.E.D.I team. And one of the things that I, as a member of the team, have been asking for a while is, what can we do to help? So one of the things that one of the facilitators had brought up was that other school districts have had written letters of support or statements of support on behalf of the SU to support the work that the J.E.D.I teams are doing in other areas. So some of this came from a Massachusetts community, that school board that was working on it. So it's 3 sentences or 3 paragraphs. The Windham Central Supervisory Union is committed to initiating and supporting policies, practices, and curriculum that promote social justice, diversity, and inclusion. In celebration of our collective rich diversity, we also seek to affirm and elevate historically marginalized identities and experiences. We are dedicated to our belief that biased actions and hateful speech have no place in our learning community. Our commitment to social justice and education equity will be reflected in our daily operations, including recruitment, admission, student and staff retention, responsibility for modeling and reinforcing upstander behavior, school and family support, hiring practices, curriculum, and respectful dialogue. So although it says in the agenda that it was discussion and possible action, the J.E.D.I members and the coordinators from the SU couldn't make tonight's meeting, but they do plan to come to the next meeting in June. So I would ask that if there's any questions or any words that we need to change, or if there's any wordsmithing that anybody would like to do, maybe let me know now. But I'd like to hold any voting or approving of this until we can get some input from at least Wayne and Scotty. I believe plan to be there, and maybe other members of the J.E.D.I group. And I think there's upwards of 20 people. Yeah. So I'm not sure if anybody is going to come to weigh in or not, but I don't know if anybody, and I also made this so where Windham Central Supervisory Union is in italics. In the bottom of my book can be used in individual districts also. If an individual district, wants to take this and just say, the ABC school district is committed, it can also be used there. But I thought it would be good to show support. I know at least Scotty and Wayne have spent a couple years doing this, and there's other members of the team. And I thought it'd be a very good kind of statement that yes, we support the work you're doing and we have your backs on this. So I know, Emily, you unmuted yourself, and then I'll go to Doug.
Actually, I just unmuted myself, so you should go to Doug first.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Doug.
I don't know if I'm okay. I'm unmuted. I just wanted to say that the statements are always great, but there's a commitment there for daily operations, and I just hope that in accompanying the statement is also some procedures potentially, or guidelines, or something that shows that it's actually an action.
So, Doug, one of the things that was part of the last discussion at the last J.E.D.I meeting of the year was, and I'm trying to find it because it's not ready to be put out yet. The group was still working on it, but there is, it's called Team District Recommendations. I think some of it came from the West River meeting, where I think the West River group said, the J.E.D.I group is working and we're hoping they bring some recommendations back to us. Al or Emily, maybe you could speak to that a little bit. So that's why I asked that maybe we not, work to approve this yet. And let's also hear from them the recommendations. And they weren't ready to bring that forth yet.
That's great. As long as it's happening. That's my only concern, was that we put a statement out that supports the guidelines we're following internally.
Yeah,
and I think you will see that. Emily?
Thank you. Well, I'm happy to let Al go first, but I'll just quickly say this is really important, and I appreciate you holding off on this until we do get feedback from the group, because that's a large number of people who are involved, and I want to make sure that we are sort of following along in what Doug was saying, that we are actually taking this very seriously and we are being intentional about our actions in Windham Central and across the district, across the SU. And so I appreciate you putting this off until our next meeting so that we can make sure that we have everyone here to give that input, because I think it's an ongoing issue and it'll continue to be an ongoing issue. And we actually need to take action and not just have a statement made. So, thank you.
Thank you, Emily. And you're getting a thumbs up from Doug. Go ahead, Al.
Yeah, I agree with everything that Emily said. And I think it's a great statement, and then will be reinforced with actions for sure. One little tweak I was just thinking of and looking at the second paragraph, when it says we also seek to affirm and elevate historically marginalized identities and experiences. It seems like there's something missing there. So I was thinking maybe we also seek to affirm and elevate those with historically marginalized identities and experiences. It just seems like there's kind of a gap there of identity per se.
And I appreciate that. So I'm going to make that change, and I'm going to also send it to Wayne and Scotty for when they come back, because they helped me with some of the wording in this also to bring it to you guys. So if everybody's okay, I will make that one change, and that does read a little better, quite a bit better. And again, remember, I'm not the greatest wordsmith, so I will take all the help you guys want to give me.
We're here for you.
Thank you, buddy. Is there anybody else? Any other comments? I don't see anybody. I just want to say one thing, and in this, I learned a big lesson. I stuck my foot in my mouth at one of the meetings. Not too bad, but enough to bring a comment. This is not something we're going to fix overnight. We're not going to fix these issues with one statement or one policy or one procedure. This is some long-term work, and hopefully the biggest thing that can come from this, and I hope that the J.E.D.I group will speak a little bit more about it, or Wayne and Scotty, is what it really needs to do is open up some hard conversations. And Al and the West River group, you guys had a pretty hard conversation in that meeting, watching that. So I think that this will just kind of help us all, but it's a hard conversation we're all going to be involved in. Go ahead, Al.
I was going to say, so we have some board norms that we read out at every meeting. And I now definitely think that something like this or a distilled version of this should be part of what we read out as part of our board norms before every meeting. So yeah, I look forward to seeing what the final is, and then maybe kind of tailoring it just to, shorten it a little bit, but include it in our norms. Thanks.
Yeah, the other thing too, Al, I know when you look at our agendas and a lot of our paperwork, there is a lot of there's our purpose and our goals. I'm trying to find it. On the bottom, Windham Central will place students at the center of decision making. So maybe this is something else to work in, and maybe we could work on that with the smaller group to get that. Or maybe the J.E.D.I group can also help us with some recommendations. So that would be a good thing to bring up next meeting too. And Bill's going to meet with them also between now and then. So I think he can bring some of that up. Go ahead, Doug.
Hey, I just wanted to say, don't be so hard on yourself, Rich. This work is hard work, and mistakes are going to happen by lots of people, and it's all about the intent to be a part of change. And I think that everybody needs to move forward with the right intention, and I think you're doing that. So don't feel bad.
Thank you, sir. So if we're good with that, if there's nobody else, I have no other old business that we need to bring up. So under new business, we get school district reports. And Doug, you're first on the list.
Yeah, I'll be quick. Selena, back me up. But we signed our teacher contract. I believe it's 3 years. We're very excited. This is our first kind of real negotiations contract out of the first initial one during COVID, which I don't think was a permanent thing. But now I feel like we're moving forward. We've got a good negotiations done and in the books. And I thank Selena and Dan for leading that. They were our committee members in negotiations with Bill. And Bill, thank you also for shepherding us through a good process. Additionally, I think Rich wanted me to share just something that we're working on in our meetings, something our principal brought before the board during one of our meetings. And I'll try and pull it up, Rich. I know I sent it to you earlier.
Yeah, and I printed it because I was going to bring it tonight, and I can't find it. I must have left it at the office.
Our principal, we had a tense conversation about something that was going on in the school. And, we came back the next weekend and investigated the conversation and realized that everybody was coming at the topic from different angles. So if Rich wants to share that, he can afterwards. But essentially, it just starts with something like, what's the goal of what we're trying to establish when we have a discussion? Where do we hope to end up? What's our commitment financially and with respect to time? And what action items are going to be, are needed to complete the goal and who's responsible. So we've sort of incorporated this. We're going to be adopting, I think, when we dig in on specific topics that are in the school. So if Rich just wanted me to share that, but that was something that came up. And then of course we have end of year coming, and we're all excited for that. But I do have to say today was, quite a difficult day. And I just want to express, I think, appreciation for all the faculty and staff and admin in the buildings. I went down to the school today, and there were a lot of people that, are coming to work, and they're kind of scared, and they have hesitation, and they also feel sad, and it's hard to work and create a lively environment for an elementary school in that air. And I just want to hold that and acknowledge it with folks.
Thank you, Doug. Do you want to just speak to that real quick?
No, I think you said it really eloquently, Doug. The Secretary of Education shared I thought, a very thoughtful letter. I shared it with all the principals to use at their discretion of whether they wanted to share that independently, whether they wanted to take some of those words and share it out. I really count on principals knowing the pulse of each community, where their feelings are, where their abilities are. So it is I would echo what you're saying, Doug. It is a challenging time to be in public education in general. And when those horrific events happen, it just emphasizes how challenging it can be, even beyond what you thought you were capable of bringing. So I know that Doug reached out to me today, and I shared that with my colleagues, and I really appreciated that. And I heard from other principals and teachers some really nice well wishes from parents and community members. And I think that says something about our individual communities, the connections and the care. But we are on the practical, operational side. We are very forward thinking about safety, security, and culture. And I had a couple board members reach out to me about, Bill, can you just reassure me that we're on top of this stuff? And it was very heartening for me to be able to share, our director of operations has been in regular contact, and in March and April set up visits with principals at each individual school over June and July. So it was kind of an annual thing that we do just to kind of review our safety and security operations at each individual school. And that was done just as a routine business of what we expect our director of operations to do. So it was heartening for me to be able to share that with the board members when they are reaching out, that this is not something that we treat as a point in time, but something that we believe is a foundational aspect to what we do as a school system. But Doug, I would just echo, it was a heavy day.
Thanks, Bill. I think that's pretty much all I have to share from Marlboro.
Thank you, Doug. Allison Stratton is up next.
Hi, yes, I apologize. I'm having a little bit of connectivity issue. So I'm going to keep the camera off. Stratton, honestly, there's not too much to report for the first time. And I think the 3 years that I've gotten on the board, all is I'm probably jinxing myself right now, but we're running smoothly. And we're headed into the summer looking into our policies, just making sure we are up to date and everything is good there. But I'm going to, cross my fingers and hope that it holds steady. So that's where we are with Stratton.
Thank you, Allison.
Go get in the shower, okay? Oh.
Yeah, don't go in the shower on us.
Sorry, I hit the wrong button. That was not for you. That was
Hey, Beth, you want to tell us what's happening up on the hill in Windham?
Sure. We've hired a new teacher, which is really exciting. We've hired an administrative assistant, which is equally exciting. We have our Friends of Windham School nonprofit group supporting the school and doing some fundraising, doing some gardening, and some other activities that are bringing the community together, which has been fantastic. I'm trying to think. Other than that, things are going really well. Doug, I really appreciate that you brought up the horrific events of yesterday. I did send a message to Bob Tebow and to Mickey. As sad as I was years ago, to have a system put into place to screen people from coming into the school, which I just thought was a real travesty. I am completely on board, and I'm sad that this is our new reality. But I just wanted Bob and Mickey to know that we're completely behind them 100%. And that's pretty much it. It's just heartbreaking that this is what our teachers, our children, our families, our community members have to see as a reality. So anyway, I just wanted Bob and Mickey to know that as the board chair, and I'm sure I speak for all of the board, that we are completely supportive of any decisions that need to be made to take care of our kids. And that's it.
Thank you, Beth. It is, again, it's a really sad time, and it's good to let our board, it's good for the boards to let our staff and administrators know that they're supported. And, we never had these discussions 20 years ago, or 25 years ago, and they are there. It's a different world out there. So, River Valleys, we are also looking for teachers. And Beth, I'm upset that you took one of our teacher candidates, maybe, because I know we're looking for a bunch. So I don't know. I'm glad you guys got one. I know that I just had an email from one of our administrators that they'd like to set up a special meeting to get that, to act on that. We were looking for 3 or 4 different positions, and we're doing a job share for the first time ever. Possibly having one of our teachers be able to cut back a little bit. That's a very senior teacher that's very well loved and has done a great job here. That was actually in the school. My wife was in this school, which is a long time ago. So it's good that we're able to keep some senior staff around to help out in some transitions and work somebody new in. So we're kind of excited about that. We'll see how that goes. We're doing some building stuff. We had a couple items that was approved for capital budgeting that we are having some discussions on, and we're working to move those forward. And Dwight, I don't know, can you think anything else that we should report out?
No, I think you covered it all, Rich.
Hey, how did the meeting go? Wardsboro had their town meeting to elect a board member, and we had appointed somebody whose term was ending this year anyways, that replaced, if everybody remembers, Rick, who'd been with, on the Wardsboro board for a number of years, and at Windham Central, he left the state, and then we appointed a gentleman named Chad Starrow.
Yeah, so we have an interesting way of having that meeting. So essentially, during our town meeting, we join the River Valley School Board meeting while we're at that meeting, and we enter that into that meeting, and that's when we elect our representative in Wardsboro. And Chad Starrow was nominated, and he was elected at the meeting. And then once that was completed, we left the meeting at the same meeting and went back to the town meeting, if that makes sense. But it went well, and it was a good meeting. And but Chad got reelected, so now he's on board officially.
And Laura Sibilia was reelected at the Dover town meeting earlier in the week, last Tuesday. Which was very interesting. At our annual school board meeting, we had a tie vote for moderator, and the moderator, Dr. Backus, refused to break the tie. So at our town meeting on Tuesday, we had a gentleman make a motion to amend an article where it said selectmen to select board. And we had a vote, and it was a tie vote. So I got to break the tie as moderator. So our school district clerk and our town clerk are the same person, Andrew. And when he counted them and he looked at me and he started laughing, I said, "Don't tell me it's a tie vote." So it was a very interesting district meetings this year. I've never seen a tie in all my life. I'd be interested if anybody else has ever had a tie in one of their meetings, at an annual meeting or a town meeting. And I can't wait to talk about it at the annual town moderators meeting come next February. So that's it for us. And Al, you're up for West River.
All right. Yeah. Well, we had our last meeting a couple of weeks ago. We had a great review of project-based learning at Leland and Gray. Bob went through that, even though he's sick as a dog. Did a great job going through that. And then we also had some others have talked about a really thoughtful discussion and review from the J.E.D.I folks. So we had an update on that. And then we also have a teaching principal now in place at Jamaica. So very excited for that. And then, we talked a lot about long-term planning. We have a couple task force right now that are going to be bringing us a lot of information to our next full board meeting, including recommendations for what we will potentially do, for this upcoming budget, as well as any future budgets. It is long-term planning, so they'll have outlook for, the next 3, 5, 10 years of what we potentially might to do. So it's really kind of exciting actually to be a part of a discussion that could really map out what we do for the next generation. And it makes me a little nervous too, of course. But yeah, great discussions. And
He froze. Al, I think you froze. He doesn't know he's froze, does he? Or we froze.
Everyone else is moving.
Everybody else is moving.
It's definitely out.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, fine.
I would say that we got the majority. Long-term planning is happening in West River. It's very exciting. They're coming back on June 6th. They have an elementary task force. They have a secondary task force. Go ahead, Al. You're back. You were frozen after long-term planning.
After long-term plan, okay. Yeah, and I just heard you talking about elementary and secondary. My internet connection is unstable. Can you still hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll be brief then, and then Bill, you can cover off on anything that I miss. Yeah, so in talking about long-term planning, I just want to also mention that we had a survey that went out probably about 6 weeks ago or so now. And the kind of the meaning and impetus of the survey was to distinguish for our folks, do we want to have a K through 12 in our area, or do we want to allow for 9 to 12, or essentially close Leland and Gray and let the students go to other schools, Brattleboro, et cetera. At our last meeting, and I'm going to take full responsibility for kind of the wonkiness of that survey, because we got lots of folks that came back and just didn't understand what we were trying to get at. In our last meeting, we discussed codifying the fact that we do want to and will have a K through 12 in our district, period. So, Bill, I'm sure you're probably looking into. Yeah. We just want to. We've talked about it too much, and I think it's just finally time to put a nail in it and say that is what we're doing. Period. So, Bill, I'm sure you were looking into the articles to see how we can make that a part of that, so we can make sure that our staff and everybody doesn't have to be nervous every year thinking that something potentially might happen with Leland and Gray. So, I want to put an end to that.
Yeah, I would just say that this is one benefit of you guys all working together, is we had to do all that research legally for River Valleys about amending the Articles of Agreement. So thank you, River Valleys, for asking that question, because they paid for it. And now
We're sending you a bill, Al.
West River will get to benefit from what that process looks like. So yes, I think you nailed it all, Al. I guess the only other thing I would say is the board gave me, the superintendent, the authority to appoint an interim principal for next year for Townsend Elementary School. Their principal is leaving at the end of a 5-year, really incredibly productive run. But with the lateness of the resignation and the pool that is available, the board did give me the opportunity to go ahead and find some stability. And that actually is going to be a point of order for you guys under new business tonight, because the person who is going to be appointed is currently working at Townsend Elementary School as an academic support teacher. But academic support teachers are employed by the WCSU, thus the request for the leave of absence for the interim. And just so you guys know, because it was a late thing, my recommendation to the board is just to
We're going
appoint.
to cover that. When we
Okay,
get there.
got it.
Okay. So Al, thank you. Is there anything else, sir?
Yeah. So just one last thing. So we talked also a lot about the great things that are happening at Leland and Gray and the elementary schools. We have an incredibly dedicated staff, facilities director, all the way down, just completely dedicated to making our schools look great. And just really excited to have them on the team, doing things like with the basketball court and the tennis courts and all that. They're just super engaged in it, and very excited to have them working on all of that. And then also, I just wanted to echo what others have said, that incredibly sad day, sad weeks, and we continue to have to look at this, and it just continues to happen and happen. I've heard, I don't know if anybody else heard, but Steve Kerr had an amazing response to it, and certainly got a reaction out of me. But it's just incredible that we continue to have to talk about this all the time, and something definitely needs to be done. So, but I do appreciate everything that the administration does. And as you said, you felt heartened that we have the policies and procedures in place, and can react as best as we can. So appreciate it. Thank you.
That was pretty interesting press conference he did, and I think he drove some points home. The only good thing, usually after some tragedies, there's usually changes made. So hopefully this time it'll happen. So, Al, thank you. Is there any comments on? Oh, I want to just tell you too, Al. We used to play the game where you don't move, try to and you did really good. You won the game so far. Is there any questions, comments? Would anybody like to throw anything else out? Are we all good? If we're all good, this is just a point of interest, just a notice. So July 14th, there's some board training with attorney Pietro, Lynn, and Bill sent a doodle poll out. July 14th, 5 to 7 was the winning date. And
the invite has been sent to everybody?
Correct.
And I will send it again.
And this is because one board was going to do it, and we thought it'd be good to have all boards. It's West River Board.
West River, yeah.
Yeah, so thank you, Al. So that's payback, I guess, for us getting you the other information. So hopefully a lot of people can make that, and it'll be Pietro's a very interesting speaker if you've never taken any programs with him, and he's also a Leland and Gray graduate. So
he is.
2 years after us, Emily. Unfortunately, just shows we're getting older.
Newfane too, just so you remember.
Yeah.
Newfane now.
Yeah, his parents had Harts Bend Farm up on Newfane Hill, the summer camp, and his grandfather was the
Grout Road, but yeah.
Pardon?
Grout Road.
Yeah, but the spray stuff that you put on your car, Armor All. His grandfather used to come in to Newfane for the summer to visit, and he'd be handing out all these packages of Armor All, the free little sample packages. We always used to go try to find them.
No contracts. Yeah,
there's no contracts assigned, so there's one less thing. So we do have a request for a leave of absence. I did cut Bill off just because we were going to have this discussion later. So we have a letter from a teacher who works for Windham Central who would like to ask for a 1 year leave of absence under 11.14 for the school year 22-23. And this is so that she can act as the principal in Townsend for a year. So what it basically means is that the Windham Central will hire a replacement for her on a 1 year contract. But it does require under the master contract for Windham Central, there's no time limit. You can ask for a leave of absence after a year or two. Bill's going to tell you the recommendation from the central office.
Yeah, so I think my recommendation is to approve this. This employee has worked for us for 3 years. If this we will be having a full search in the winter for the Townsend Elementary School principal. And if this person does not get it, they will come back to being an academic support teacher, thus the leave of absence, which will only benefit the entire organization because it will benefit Windham Central, it'll benefit West River, greater on-the-job experience, understanding different perspectives from different places. It also just freezes everything for this employee, so there's nothing that carries over. They don't get another year of experience. All this has been explained to the employee. They understand that this is a unique opportunity for them to serve as the interim principal, and then they will, if they want to, be a candidate in the winter for the permanent position. So it is my recommendation to the board that the board does approve this leave of absence request for Renee Merluzzi.
Sorry. Okay, is there, would somebody like to make a motion to that effect, please?
So moved.
Okay, is that Al?
Yes.
And Doug seconds it. He's got the 2 fingers up. So we have a motion and a second. Peter, did you get that?
Yes, sir. Just looking for the button.
No, thank you, Peter. Okay, so is there other discussion?
Just a thank you. Brilliant idea. Really appreciate it.
Well,
Continuity.
we're at continuity, and we're lucky to attract high quality people that want to keep increasing their skill levels that benefit our entire organization. So it's a win-win.
Okay, are you all, if there's no questions or comments, Mike, I see you are off mute. Or did you want to say something, or are you just getting ready to vote?
Just getting ready to vote.
Okay, thank you, sir. If there's no other comments, all those in favor, please signify so by saying aye.
Aye. Aye. Aye.
I think there's all ayes. I believe it's a unanimous decision. It is a unanimous decision, so the leave of absence has been granted, Bill. Okay, Bill, before you leave, real quickly, June 15th is our end of year meeting, so we will be having a presentation or some people from the J.E.D.I group. We usually get some reports on the end of year activities. It's hard to believe there's only 15 days of school left, 14?
Yeah.
Not many.
Yeah, 12 days till, 11 student days till graduation.
So what usually happens is as your officers, Emily, Al, and I usually get together, and Bill will send a agenda out. And somebody had asked me, how do you get something on the agenda a little while ago? So if you have anything that you would like to see on the Windham Central agenda, send me an email, and then I will bring it up to Bill, and we will get it there. Or you can let Bill know, and he can say that, Doug over in Marlboro asked that we put an item on the agenda. They want to paint their school pink, and they were just wondering what everybody thought about it, so they'd like to have a discussion. Go ahead, Doug.
Just a quick question on that date. The June 15th, is that also the VSBA meeting? Do we know that for resolutions?
I don't know that.
Okay.
You mean that we would vote on resolutions?
No. I mean, like, is the VSBA meeting at the same time we are, or is that the next day? I'm trying to get my board together, and I'm thinking that might be a good time to do it, is before our meeting on the 15th. But
I will I'll find out when the VSBA meeting is and send it, and have Bill send it out to everybody. Is that okay?
Sounds good.
Okay. So if you look on your agenda, because actually Bill can I give Allison control?
Well, you don't need to now.
Well,
because
Allison wants to put something
computer
up on the be seen.
All right, Allison, we're going to make you host.
Cool. Thank you.
There you go.
Okay, so if you look on the second page of your agenda, Bill, after consulting with the attorney, felt that this was a much more explanatory, or it better explains why we're going into executive session. So we just have to remove appointment or in public officer. So if somebody can make the motion to enter into executive session to discuss the superintendent evaluation.
So moved.
Okay, so Doug moved, and do I have a second?
I'll second. Second.
Okay, I'm going to give it to Allison because I think I heard her first. I'm not sure if I heard somebody else.
It was not me. I think it was Beth.
Oh, Beth, I'm sorry. Beth, thank you for the second. Was that you, Beth?
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Whatever works.
Okay, so I've got a motion and a second. Peter, do you have those?
Yes, sir.
So it's that we've moved to find that premature general public knowledge regarding the regarding the evaluation of a public employee would put the board at a substantial disadvantage because individual personnel information would be disclosed. I make a motion for the board to enter executive session under Title I, Section 313 of Vermont statutes for the appointment or the employment evaluation of a public employee. So all those in favor of that, please signify so by saying aye.
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 It appears to be unanimous. Okay, so at 8:21 p.m., we came out of executive session by unanimous consent, and that the board has authorized the board chair to meet with the superintendent and review the evaluation, report back to the board at the next meeting on June 15th. Celine, I love that picture of you too. It looks like that war poster. Like you're on the assembly
Rosie the
line.
Riveter.
You got it. It looks good. Is that what you were trying to do?
It's actually my head photoshopped onto Rosie,
Oh, cool.
not actually me.
And I thought it was real. So, I don't believe there's any other business. Does anybody have any parting comments or anything they want to say at the end? If not, I'm looking for that motion.
I'll make a motion to adjourn. Oh, who was that?
That was Mary. That was Beth. You got it, Beth.
Seconded.
Did I beat Doug? Woohoo!
Doug, seconding. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Hey, Beth, if you see Carolyn, let her know we were out early on this one.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'll let her know. Okay, bye.
Thank you, everybody.